Joining me today is Randy Mayeux, speaker, business book guru, and leadership expert. Welcome, Randy.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Brett.
It's a pleasure, and I'm really keen to hear your tips on what we should be reading.
A really good book within the last year and a half is Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And Kim Scott used to work in Google and at Apple. In fact, she reported at one time to Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook. And what she says is there are two elements that you have to have. You have to care personally. Each manager, each leader over each person has to care personally. And then they have to challenge directly. It's a great formula. First you care, then you challenge, because everybody needs a challenge to get better. There is a book by Bob Johansen. It is called The New Leadership Literacies. It is an exceptional book. Bob Johansen founded the Institute for the Future. And what he says is that leaders have to be able to do things that leaders have not had to do before. One of them is they have to take exceptional care of their physical bodies, that the demands of leadership are more demanding than ever. And so he says there's a West Coast model, mindfulness, and an East Coast model, that's the extreme athlete. But both of them say you have to keep in good shape and take care of your body if you're going to be a leader. One of the things that the New Leadership Literacies argues is that you have to be able to be present when you're not physically present. So you have to find a way to be present remotely. You have to have very good audio with any communication. That's one of the most practical things I've ever read. And you've got to be able to understand the technological shifts. Johansen popularized, he did not come up with it. It was first discovered by the Army generals, but he popularized the acronym VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And he says that's the era we live in. So those are some of the key elements in the book, The New Leadership Literacies. And then a really good best-selling book that has just come out is Daniel Pink. If you were to ask me, Randy, who are the authors who are really good at telling stories? They use the research of others, but they make it come alive. You've kind of got a list of three: Malcolm Gladwell, Charles Duhigg, and Daniel Pink. His book, When, is about the scientific secrets of timing. He says it matters what you do, but it especially matters when you do what you do. So for example, don't do anything that matters at 2:55 in the afternoon. People are worthless then. At 2:55 in the afternoon, you are in the worst part of the trough. He says that everybody has a peak, a trough, and a rebound. And most people peak in the morning, although those are the larks. Owls peak at night. But the process is the same: peak, trough, rebound. So in the book, he says doctors don't do as well performing surgery in mid-afternoon. So you want your surgery in the morning. He says if you're going to be sentenced for a crime, do it in the morning. The judge will be better with you. If you do it right after lunch or even just before lunch, the judge is going to be harsher. So that's kind of interesting. He says don't go anywhere near a teenage driver before 8:30 or 8:45 in the morning. They are not at their best. He says that what you need to do is you need to pay attention to the multiple start dates. For example, we know about your New Year's resolutions. That's a good time to start something new. He says it turns out that about half the people run marathons, and when they're running them, it's their first time. About half of the people in a marathon are first timers. And many of them, a large percentage of them, are age 29 or 39 or 49 or 59. There's something about that last year of a decade that makes a person think, oh my goodness, I'm getting older, time to do something. So those are some of the findings. Now, there are many more in the book. In fact, in my synopsis handout, I have a full page that I say, here are the do's and don'ts from this book. And every one of them is backed up by research that he has, but it's a great list.